Welcome to A Moment of Xen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Xen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, politics, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Xen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful friends and loyal listeners. It's always a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you so much for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me. That's Xen with an X, not a Z. Also, remember that we're now on TV. Tune in at watch.kpmedia.tv and catch A Moment of Xen live on the Impact Channel Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. All episodes of A Moment of Xen are now available on demand. We have an absolutely fantastic show lined up for you today. In our influencer segment, we are chatting with Detroit-bred hip-hop artist and entrepreneur MPR Riche Rich. And those of you who don't know what MPR stands for, that stands for Money, Power, Respect. Now, he's achieved community success since 2016 after serving for several years in the U.S. military. He's here today to chat with us about his path as he balances family, fatherhood, and career, and to also chat about the single Live for the Moment that he just released that is topping charts, and his take on why young people want more digital musical experiences now than ever before. Now, in our Business and Buzz segment, we have returning contributor Kyle Wool, president of wealth management at Revere Securities. And today we're chatting with his good friend, celebrity men, hairstylist Robert Dominick. Now, Robert bridges New York City's Fifth Avenue to Palm Beach. His clientele includes business executives, fund managers, art dealers, celebrities, musicians, socialites, and I can go on and on. But really, the everyday businessman who appreciates the importance of investing in his image. Today, we're chatting about the boom in the men's grooming industry and why people are still willing to pay top dollar for a haircut. Tim Bender is founder of CEO and Fog City, a leading vintage watch retailer and media company. Fog City's mission is simple: to showcase the rawness and identity of vintage watches and revive them for what they were originally designed for. They buy, they sell, they consign, and today we are discussing vintage watches and NFTs and how luxury watches are launching into the metaverse as NFT collectibles. Now, in our Express Scandals segment, we have returning contributor Imran Ansari of ABK Law, and he's going to be coming on to chat the latest in legal news. Stay tuned for MPR Riche Rich in our influencer segment. He'll be on right after this. You're listening to A Moment of Xen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back.
If you've missed out dining in New York City for the past year, it's time to visit the legendary Vice Cucina. Located in the heart of Midtown, Vice specializes in blending delicious Northern Italian and American cuisine with dishes such as the incredible taglione lobster, ravioli masala, ossobuco, and pappardelle al telefono, along with many other mouthwatering offerings. You deserve a great night out. Call Vice Cucina 212-757-2600 or online at vicecucina.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Xen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Xen Sams. Now, up next in our influencer segment by CCP Digital, we are chatting with Detroit-bred hip-hop artist and entrepreneur MPR Riche Rich, who has achieved community success since 2016 after serving for several years in the U.S. military. Now, MPR Riche Rich's discography includes The Mailman Has Returned, Why Would I Stop Now, and Take Off. His new single is Live for the Moment, and it's now available on Apple Music. Now, MPR Riche Rich directed the Walk fashion show, that's a fun fact, for 7 years and has appeared on 5 episodes of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Now, recently, Richie shot a documentary, Living Prodigy. He wrote a book entitled Life Without the Possibility to See Daylight, and he's here today to chat with us about his path as he balances family, fatherhood, and career, and to chat about why young people want more digital music experiences now than ever before. Live music events took a big hit during the coronavirus pandemic and may never fully recover. I like to look to the future and what the behavior trends of millennials and Generation Z can tell us about the direction society is heading. And what these two massive consumer demographics tell us is that the popularity of music streaming and virtual concerts is on the rise. In a recent survey, nearly 60% of Gen Z respondents said that they stream music daily. And according to another report, about 84% of music revenue over the past year came from streaming, while paid subscription platforms like Apple Music and Spotify reported a record 80 million paid subscribers. Now, here to chat some more on this is MPR Riche Rich. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hey, how's everything?
Nice to have you in the house, brother. Nice to have you in the house. Okay, number one, for those of you listening and have not laid eyes on MPR Riche Rich, he is quite the fashionista. Talk to me about your extravagant hair and how, who inspired this incredible style?
Yes, the hair is something different. It's definitely something to be set outside of the box. We started off with just regular dreads, and then I was like, yo, how do we create the GOAT in real life? And it was like, okay, let's put some horns. So we wrapped the dreads around in horns and made two horns stick up out of the top of my head. So it's definitely a look. And it took me from about 6'1" to about 7 foot tall with the horns up.
How do you drive?
Same way. They don't really affect me. Like they can bend, so they can come down or they can stay up. So
got it.
yeah,
That's interesting. I love it. You should definitely NFT your artist look right there, because you got it going on. It's very dope.
definitely. A lot of people ask me, is it wire or something in it? And it's just all hair. We just the same way you barrel roll it to the back, we just barrel rolled it to the front and just used all hair.
Love it. Okay, so let's dive right into this. So, major artists who took their performances online during the pandemic were met with a lot of success, right? And the live stream of Kanye West's album Listening Party broke the Apple Music global live stream record, and streaming platforms like Spotify also jumped on the bandwagon with their virtual concert series in 2021. And one survey found that more than a quarter of 13 to 39-year-olds said that they have attended a live stream concert, and 56% said that they were interested in attending a virtual concert in the next 6 months. What do you say to this?
Virtual concerts and everything virtual is at an all-time high. I think the pandemic really showed us a difference from being outside, going to live concerts in that format, to being at live concerts in the digital world. And I think it's getting bigger than ever. So many more people are interested into getting on to the metaverse and different things of that nature as well. So it's becoming a fad at the end of the day. And I think the more with time and the more they keep pushing this social distancing and just different wordplay, it's creating a momentum in our own brains to think like that and to fall in love with it naturally, because it's being spoken about so often that you just tend to fall in love with something because it's right in your face all the time. But I think that it's a dope experience, and I'm pretty sure it's going to come to that being the way of the world, because you got to imagine going to a venue, you can fit 20, 30,000 people, but digital world concerts, you're getting 200,000. So there's a whole different, same experience, just a whole different ball game in crowd.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the Gucci fashion show in Roblox Garden, 19 million people attended that fashion show. Exactly. So the rise of the internet and affordable recording technology has really put the power back into the hands of musicians like yourself. And record deals are no longer required to access other platforms, but rather all of these platforms have become intertwined with no really clear beginning or end. I mean, Chance the Rapper started with nothing but hometown city hype and an online presence on platforms like SoundCloud without ever signing to a record label. And Chance has grown his career to the success level of 3 Grammys and like 58 million streams of his debut album in the first week. And then taking an alternate route, you have Justin Bieber was discovered by his record label through social media, which led to his songs being played on the radio. And social media has had the potential to open important doors within the music industry, but only if leveraged properly. You seem to be a king in social media and an influencer of sorts with 1.2 million followers. How has social media shaped your career?
Social media has done so many wonders for me. People couldn't even imagine like what social media did for me, because I came into music with the mentality of printing CDs, printing marketing material, and just moving around, like trying to go city to city, like club to club, and just that was the mindset, because that was the way that I seen it done prior to this. And then once I started to learn and understand social media, it took me to a whole nother level, because I was able to connect with people that were in many different states all at one time. And then not even states, we're talking countries. So social media showed me something completely different once I started to understand what it was about and how the algorithm works. And it just took it to a whole nother level, because I've connected with superstars that I've never seen in real life, because they're in a whole nother country. And now I have songs with them that we're trying to put videos. We're shooting a video in America and they're shooting a video in Europe. And it's like, and then we're combining that together to make one music video that the world would see. And we've never even seen each other in person. So when it comes to the internet, I think that a lot of people just don't understand how powerful it really is and what's really going on with it. And then you got the social media marketing and promotion. Like, it's just next levels. People don't really understand what is really in the holds of the internet, because
Well,
you're able to touch anything.
Exactly. And going into Web3, that is where we're going to see a real transition in the music industry, because now we're going to combine our NFTs into the metaverse. We're going to use them as currency within the metaverse. We're going to get paid. We're going to have, smart contracts really define everything. The ledgers on the blockchain are going to serve their purpose. You will no longer need the record labels at your disposal, but rather the power will be in your own hands, especially with DeFi and decentralized finance. So this really does put back power to not only the people, but to the artists. Now, you define your brand not vice versa, so to speak. And a musician's social media presence should be viewed as an extension of their brand experience, okay? And the same brand that fans buy into when they listen to a song is the same brand that they expect to experience when they follow the musician online. And you have a very unique brand, starting with the way that your hair is groomed to the way your clothing is selected. Talk to me about your brand and what defines your style.
Yes, my brand is money, power, respect. And what defines my style is just being different and innovative, because a lot of the times with music, you catch a lot of people just wanting to follow a trend or just play the game of being similar to the latest thing that's hot when you talk about independence and you talk about industry, because a lot of them feel that if they do something similar, then they'll get noticed faster. But my thing was go completely left and go opposite of everything that everybody would expect. Because when people see me, they don't know whether to expect something crazy or something positive. They don't know what to, but it makes everybody have to say something or see something or look, because the engagement that I see just alone from just going to your local grocery store or to the mall, it's a showstopper. Who in this type of entertainment industry don't want to be the showstopper? and it was something that was completely different. No one's never seen it. Dreads have been around for forever, but it changed the nature because everybody's like, wow, that's just crazy. I've never seen it. It makes me stick out like a sore thumb or be the elephant in the room.
No, but
That's
you,
the most important part for me.
oh, and you do such a great job at sticking out in a positive way because you have such a beautiful aura about you, and you're a bright light, and you're very humble, and you're also a family guy, which I want to talk to you. I want to kind of get insight on how, you're balancing kids, life, a career, and what advice do you have to dads out there? That's definitely something I want you to address. We have about 2 minutes left. So please give us some insight on what it's like to balance this entire, 360-degree marketing campaign, essentially, that you have going for yourself.
Definitely. It comes with a lot at the end of the day. And I came to realize that what I jumped into music for and why I even started it, it was for me to let my family see something bigger and to create new streams of income and new ways to make everything work. So when it comes to family, like that's my key thing. That's the number one priority. Is like, if I don't do music tomorrow, I'll still have my family. And I think a lot of people get that part confused with trying to be out in front, because when you're out in front, it takes a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, and you give yourself away to the world so much because they want and need you. And it almost feels like they need you more than your family, because those people, they're in high demand for what you give them with the energy and entertainment. It'll never stop. This is a part of life, and this is why a lot of people live and move around and do what they do, because they're just trying to be entertained. And I had to learn how to balance giving myself to the world and keeping myself to my family. And it's definitely a work in progress. Nothing's perfect, but to be able to do it is much more than a blessing, because I try to incorporate my family with everything. I bring my wife along with me to a lot of the shows, a lot of the situations. When it comes to like video shoots or photo shoots, I bring the kids with me as well, just so they can understand it and be a part of it, so that when they get of age, they can entertain in the same way and not have to feel like they're being entertained, because it's two
Exactly.
worlds.
And keep inspiring, and that's what we're talking about, leaving a legacy, especially for the generation to come. But you are doing a great job. I commend you. I take my hat off to you. You are one humble individual. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you as well.
You guys have to check out MPR Riche Rich on the gram. His new single is called Live in the Moment. And a big shout out to the misses out there, the Miss MPR Riche Rich, and to his entire family and one expecting father on the way. You should be so proud. God bless. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. That was our influencer segment brought to you by CCP Digital, and that was the one and only MPR Riche Rich. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CCP Digital, bringing you a view from inside blockchain, cryptocurrency, and NFTs. Introducing the latest Blockchain Heroes series, Retro Rebellion NFT collectible card packs from the Nifty Company. Available January 2022. Find out more online at ccpdigital.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Now, up next in our Business and Buzz segment, we have returning contributor Kyle Wool, president of wealth management at Revere Securities. And today we're chatting with his good friend, celebrity men's hairstylist, Robert Dominick. Now, Robert bridges NYC's Fifth Avenue all the way to Palm Beach, Florida, and employs the worlds of barbering and hairstyling cosmetology as old world meets new. Dominick boasts a diversified clientele, including business executives, fund managers, art dealers, celebrities, musicians, socialites, and the everyday businessman who really appreciates the importance of investing in his image. For salon owners and stylists, the hope that inflationary pressures would quickly come and go has definitely faded. Most economists anticipate inflation remaining persistently high throughout 2022 and likely beyond. With inflation here to stay, those who have thus far held off on raising rates may soon find themselves with little choice. But the men's grooming category is expected to cross 1.2 billion by 2024, marking a significant step in men's grooming growth strategy. The pandemic has opened many opportunities for all industries, but it has been a game changer for the beauty and hygiene category. We have seen an increased interest among the male consumers for personal grooming products. While mass market brands struggle to contain inflation that has reached 20% across the consumer goods industry, luxury and concierge services like Robert's remain well insulated. Indeed, from luxury fashion houses to upper tier salons, all high-end services and luxury brands have been steadily increasing the prices for their signature offerings throughout the pandemic with actually very little pushback. And here to chat some more on this are Kyle and Dominick. Kyle, welcome back.
Glad to be here, Zen.
Dominick, so nice to have you on.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Kyle, I'm going to start with you. Now, inflation or the big squeeze is dominating the news agenda of 2022, yet men's luxury market and men's grooming industry seems seemingly unaffected. What's going on here?
Well, it's really a bifurcated answer. Inflation is something that's been going on for, I would say, for the last 6 months with the Biden administration continuing to print money, COVID relief, and now with you have the Russian incursion and war in Ukraine, you're also seeing energy prices spike, which is really leading into a perfect storm for inflation. And you're seeing it at the pump. You're seeing $5 gasoline, but then really certain industries, like you mentioned, Zen, luxury goods, luxury fashion, luxury men's hair care and facial care has not really been affected because these are things that men, especially the modern man in the bigger cities, the metropolitan cities, are still willing to pay for. The grooming, the Kiehl's lotions.
Exactly. Welcome to the show. That was actually a
So
great little intro because you pinned the tail right on the donkey.
Who knows,
Robert,
maybe
welcome to the
6
show.
months,
And as a
12 months down the
celebrity
road, it may start to
hairstylist
affect
and
the
groomer
luxury
to the
market, but
stars,
it's not quite there
how
yet.
has exactly? Welcome to the show. That was actually a great little intro because you pinned the tail right on the donkey. Robert, welcome to the show. And as a celebrity hairstylist and groomer to the stars, how has your business model shifted since the pandemic? And what is the main difference between servicing celebrity clientele and the average Joe with respect to hairstyling and patterns?
I would say, honestly, it's been a good transition to the fact that more have become concierge takers in a concierge service, which is, in other words, home visits, on the go, at an office or someone's home. Time is money, so they want to capitalize in all the business that they can project or that they can offer while being comfortable at the home and having their hair services. So multitasking really is what they're about, and I'm here to help offer it. And go ahead.
Clientele, a lot of industry professionals that are very high net worth individuals. Where you are based right now in South Florida, have you seen a shift in the market ever since the mask mandates have been lifted, and since really I think there's been a big migration from New York? A lot of people have headed your way. Yeah. What do you say to this?
Contributing to the traffic down here and disturbing the peace in that regard, but booming the economy. So what's happening is, all the high net worth areas like Palm Beach and Miami, lots of New York, lots of Chicago, lots of other cities coming down for multiple reasons. But with the business, the weather, the masks are off, everybody's out. So it's really about confidence. They have the confidence back. They come in, eye service, I can do the image and the hair the way they'd like. That helps to equal to success because of the confidence. So,
Kyle, You know, it's interesting because every time I see you, you're always dressed to the T's. You're very well groomed. In fact, I always ask you who grooms your fabulous hair, because you have plenty of it and really really nice hair. And you always take pride in the way you look. And you are very representative of the global men's personal care market, which the market is at a size that's anticipated to reach $76 billion by 2027, and it's expected to expand at a compound annual growth rate of 6% from just 2022 to 2027. What do you think is driving the market?
I think it's the rising of the middle class throughout the world, number one. But I also think when you have countries like South Korea and BTSD, some of these big K-pop stars, and I think that's really not just in South Korea where men really pay attention to their fashion, but that's expanded to very large populations like China, Indonesia, Malaysia. A lot of people don't even realize you have 1.5 billion people in China, but if you look at Southeast Asia alone, between Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines, that's over 550 million people that are all coming online, that are all starting to take care of themselves in different ways. And then I also think you're seeing that in the United States, you're seeing it in Western Europe. So I think it's more an awareness of men. I think you have a lot of the music idols, whether it be hip hop people in the United States or K-pop stars in Asia, are all taking care of themselves much better. This isn't the era of the 1990s where Kurt Cobain and grunge was the in way to look.
Growing popularity for daily skincare routine, coupled with rising awareness in respect to personal grooming and hygiene, and availability of a wide range of skincare routine products by key players like Robert Dominick, and guidance by industry experts like Robert Dominick, is really what's driving the market. So you hit it right on. Dominick, millennial men nowadays are becoming more conscious of their physical appearance and looks, and are willing to experience innovative products that are proven to work. What kind of shift have you seen over the last decade in men's styling requests and grooming patterns?
The requests have been, help me look my best, but keep me within fashion, keep me within style. What's current? It's been 2 years of COVID, so what's going on? What's trendy? What is cool? What's now, really? But how do I tie that into being able to enhance my business approach to things? And really, it's about all different ways of helping the individual find their own brand, their own business, their own style, and being able to relay that to the world and to the market that they're in.
Of course, it's so important, and this is a very fitting question, because the market that they're in is very telling of how you are going to drive the advertisement towards them, and how you're going to pick and choose the companies and brands you affiliate yourself with. And for somebody like Kyle, who's president of wealth management at Revere Securities and looks under the hood of every company before he goes in, Kyle, North America dominated the market and accounted for over close to 30% share of global revenue in 2019. Growing consciousness, personal care routine, and use of natural and very specifically organically sourced products that are free from chemicals and are non-toxic in nature are the key driving factor for the growth of the market. Talk to me about the importance of sustainability when choosing an investment.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think you've seen a trend, and it goes back to the 1980s with the health club gyms and fitness routines that men were getting into. And I think it's really crescendoed over the last 5 or 6 years when you see people really paying attention to what they're putting in their body. And that's why you've seen the movement of companies like Impossible Foods, which was a small company that focused on organic plant-based alternatives to meat. And now you're seeing these companies go through the pre-IPO to the IPO process, and Impossible Foods, Beyond Meat. You're seeing Whole Foods. You're seeing these other kind of companies like that that are doing very well in the stock market. And I think that is because whether it's men or women, but I think especially men have made that turn. I think women are always a little bit ahead of us on these topics, but I think men are really paying attention to, number one, what they're putting in their body. Number two, where it comes from. Is it organic or is it just some factory somewhere in the Southeast? And I think as that trend continues, it's a great place to invest. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for people that are forward looking in this marketplace.
Exactly, exactly. Robert, talk to me about the shifts in not just in what we were talking about, sustainability and organic and natural, but have men really come at the forefront expressing interest in care in what they are putting on their scalp and on their face?
Yes, certainly. I mean, particularly as we all age, what's going to be a healthy alternative yet get the visual effect? And particularly when it comes to hair loss, I got to be honest. I mean, I'm here on site of Bauman Medical, one of the leaders of hair restoration or hair health, and it's really about what products, what devices, what certain active ingredients have that positive effect, and should I be warned about any potentially damaging, whether for the environment or for the actual toxins in the body, and it's all about eliminating that right now.
Exactly, exactly. Well, listen, this has been a very insightful segment because it's interesting to see how the men's grooming industry is exploding and how guys are really catching up to girls here. Because for the longest time, we've only heard, women really caring about what we're putting on our hair and our face and on our bodies. But now, with this growing awakeness, so to speak, of natural and organic products, I think, and especially when I speak to friends of mine like Kyle, I see the actual urgency to take action and really, really check out the products that we use. And there you have it, my dear friends. That's Kyle Wool, President of Wealth Management at Revere Securities, our regular contributor for Business and Buzz segment. Thank you so much for piping in, Kyle. We absolutely adore you here. Robert, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, you have to check out Robert Dominick. Check out BrazilianCourt.com. He is the man of the hour when it comes to men's grooming and men's hairstyle. And definitely check out Kyle Wool at Revere Securities, President of Wealth Management. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Revere Securities. Revere is committed to building a relationship of trust in which they work closely with you to help you define your objectives, explore alternatives, and choose the financial and investment strategies that are most appropriate for you. Go to reveresecurities.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Now, up next, we have a bonus innovation and tech segment brought to us by Caldwell Soames and Romulus Entertainment. And today, we are featuring Tim Bender, founder and CEO of Fog City, a leading vintage watch retailer and media company. Fog City's mission is simple: to showcase the rawness and identity of vintage watches and revive them for what they were originally designed for. From Rolex to Audemars Piguet, everything they sell is geared to define look and style and even generational wealth. They buy, they sell, and they consign. Today, we are discussing vintage watches and NFTs. Now, as Tim gets settled into the broadcast room, let's chat. Luxury watches are launching into the metaverse as NFT collectibles. That is a fact. The luxury watch industry is uniquely positioned to embrace the culture and rare limited editions and NFTs, as watch collecting has millions of fans around the globe. So, where should luxury watch brands be looking next? Well, the demand for high-end watches has surged since the start of the pandemic, as people have taken the time to research watches and see them as a very valuable asset class. The rise in demand has made luxury watches scarce, with traditional mainstays like the Rolex and Audemars Piguet currently unavailable. Now, physical watches are usually kept as trophy investments, but NFT watches can have serious uses, from being worn in the metaverse to kept in NFT art collection inventories. And this is revolutionizing the process and piquing tons of interest amongst serious watch collectors. And here to chat some more on this is CEO Tim Bender of Fog City. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Sam.
Without a doubt. Talk to me about Fog City and the cool projects you have going on regarding NFTs and the metaverse.
Yeah, so we're actually working on a project ourselves, and you're spot on. I mean, NFTs are going to have a lot of interesting applications in the years to come. Definitely, there is a lot of opportunity, and I do think there is going to be an application of people wearing digital watches or NFTs essentially in the metaverse. But the component that I'm most interested in is the ability to, at a high level, ultimately just be able to track identity and now have smart contracts are going to have the ability to represent ownership of digital assets. So have to go ahead and provide my opinion on this as much as I can. So I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, listen, McKinsey estimates that pre-owned watch sales hit 18 billion in 2019 and could top 30 billion by 2025, right? So with the unexpected growth during the pandemic, many watch brands are taking the time to innovate and develop the next chapter of the watch industry that evidently includes NFTs and crypto collectibles as rare physical watches really become harder to find. Where do you think the market is headed?
Specifically on the NFT space, I mean, no doubt it was crazy. I mean, COVID broke out. We all thought the world's going to collapse in terms of our business on the watch dealing side. We saw quite the opposite. People were sitting at home. They were bored. They were gobbling up inventory like there was no tomorrow. And over the last, 18 months, we've seen prices nearly double on a lot of vintage pieces. In terms of where I see things going, I mean, there's definitely this concept, and I think there's going to be a lot of immersive, opportunities for people to have, get-togethers in the metaverse and ultimately be able to bring their watches. I do think more and more people are going to be spending time there. It's a foreign concept for a lot of people, not understanding this whole idea of putting on a headset, but we are moving in the direction of, probably having a pair of Ray-Bans where you can go ahead and throw those on and now be hanging out with all of your watch buddies from around the world. But the application of NFT that I find most interesting is this ability to, represent ownership of a physical good. And, you can almost think of this as being Carfax for watch, right? So you can go ahead and have purchase dates, you can have the serial numbers, you can have photos. There's definitely people that are going to be making a play to try to solve the equation of authentication. But where I think that's going to be really challenging is things can be authentic, but they can be they might not be period correct, and that plays a big role in the value of a watch. So how we plan on going about that is very similar to a StockX model. So if you guys go ahead and transact, we'll go ahead and record that transaction on chain. You get an NFT essentially as your proof of ownership, your certification. That can be transferred along. But where you can really start to see that take off is the data that's behind there. You can almost have a marketplace where you can see where things are actually transacting. You can go ahead and see if there's provenance associated with a watch. If it was in a big famous collector's wallet at some point in time. There's a lot of interesting applications on that front, and that's where I'm most excited.
It's actually quite interesting when you put it into that kind of perspective, from your, from doing what you do at Fog City, because if you look at, I mean, the first watch NFT to ever go on sale was back in March of last year on OpenSea. It was the Bigger Bang all black tourbillon chronograph special piece, and it was offered by Jean-Claude Bivet, an industry veteran, along with Swiss company WiseKey, as a digital twin image NFT. But the problem, Tim, was that the NFT didn't have any function attached. So further development is really needed to engage the community of younger NFT collectors, because they do expect a more sophisticated NFT function that brings benefits like exclusive access or interoperability in gaming environments that are in line with the watch's heritage and the demand of the collectors. So what specifically do you look for when identifying a rarity or a collector piece or reviving a vintage watch, and how will you translate this in the metaverse?
Yeah, I mean, what we say in our industry is it's all about condition, right? So there's modern watches, and certainly there's rarity that comes with the scarcity of the product, and we all know how those become quickly unavailable. On the vintage side, it's all about condition again, originality, the fact that some of these items have survived 50 years with their original box and papers. Those are things that collectors want to go ahead and seek out. Anything that isn't easy to find. So that's certainly where our business is today in terms of rarity. I think it's still kind of undecided, and it's up to us to see how we go ahead and create this this world, essentially the metaverse. But very similar is people are going to want to go ahead and flex, what they have. So I think, where this is likely going to be most impactful is certainly you can go ahead and buy your digital watch that might not be yours, but if you are going to these, collector meetups in the metaverse where you're on some luxury yacht or some amazing, beach or wherever that might be, if you have the ability to actually bring your digital collection with you and prove that you own that via NFT, I think that's where you're going to have the most interest from the community. People are going to want to bring those assets with them.
Yeah, well, especially since right now we're all, Web 1 and Web 2 is a thing of the past. We're really, going to start, living, exchanging, and really the commerce on Web 3 is going to really accentuate, and NFTs will trade within the metaverse. Now, American watch retailer Jacob and Company is known for, its radical approach to innovation within the traditional field of watchmaking, right? But currently, with respect to the metaverse, it's planning to come out with a bespoke collection of fine watches called Astronomia Metaverso, and it will include styles in both physical and NFT digital formats. And the collection draws inspiration, in this particular case, from the solar system and extends into the metaverse, right? An area that we're talking about that has been left relatively untouched by the watch industry, and personally designed by Jacob, in this case, Jacob Arobo. He's founder and chairman of the company. This metaverse collection will feature 8 distinct watches. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, when you talk about offering something exclusive to watch collectors, in this particular case, the more exclusivity you offer, and to your point, this is where this will launch, and you're going to see the tremendous rise in investment here. Now, what are, from your opinion, what are the where do you see vintage Rolex fitting in this entire, Web3 mechanism?
There's definitely, again, I think, an opportunity for people to go ahead and release these digital watches that they can bring with them into the metaverse. I do think that there's going to be a stronger opportunity or a larger opportunity that true collectors are after, right? Like I think what you're saying makes sense for those folks that might not be watch collectors, or there's definitely some overlap there, but a lot of people are going to want to bring their own watches into the metaverse. Watches are a very personal thing, so people look for various attributes that speak to them. And on the vintage side, they'll go ahead and chase rare examples with tropical dials. A tropical dial is essentially a black dial that is thought to have turned various shades of brown that would have come from a tropical environment. So it's those little nuances that that collectors really seek out, and I think that's going to be a very exciting thing to see play out.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And, to be able to NFT your own collector's edition, like you said, and bring it to a party that you're attending in the metaverse, on your avatar, in your plot of land in the metaverse, wherever that may be, is actually very unique, right? And as we have about 2.8 billion people worldwide that count as video game players. And this is actually extremely important, right? And the NFT gaming crossover is particularly popular with play to earn games like the Sandbox, right? Leading the charge, with more users collecting NFTs to use in games. Watches like the Louis Moinet Space Revolution timepiece could become collector's items in the metaverse and in the physical world, uniting 2 strong collector groups. So it's actually a very interesting dynamic when you're looking at watch collection in the physical, and when you parlay it over to the metaverse, how the synchronicity is actually, it's really a perfect industry to introduce this to.
Yeah, I mean, you are spot on. And there is going to be a very large, group of folks that are going to be looking at it through the same lens. And I also think, this is me with my old man view on the world. But the reality is, this metaverse is going to be coming into it's really going to be coming of age in the next 5-10 years, in my opinion. So we're going to be having to deal with a whole new group of people that are, in their teens now. They're going to go ahead and shape what they're ultimately after. But yeah, anything that's scarce, if there's something that they can customize and express their personality with, and there's scarcity that's going to be involved, certainly people are going to go ahead and seek those things out. And they're going to want to go ahead and buy the coolest new thing that maybe somebody else is going to have a harder time attaining. So that's going to be a way of really expressing their personality in their interests in the metaverse.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, Fog City, you as a brand, right? When you're talking about the metaverse, brands also recognize the value in developing a presence in the metaverse, which is what I was just talking about, right? On
Yeah.
Exclusible's luxury district, which is in the Sandbox, a decentralized metaverse gaming platform, right? So there's already a luxury district in the Sandbox. And the brand is focusing on long-term community engagement by releasing more NFT drops that build on the NFT utility and value. You know, for now, the NFT holders, the collaboration will extend to Apple Watch backgrounds as well as competitions for prizes within the community. But do you think that ultimately the power of an NFT collection will rely heavily on the utilities that brands develop for that community? Because the watch community is very tight knit. We see this often on Discord where they have, you know, watch talk. All the users are so engaged. The watch club has over 50,000 active users, and these aren't small time watch collectors, right? And even if you don't own a timepiece, you're motivated to own one, even if it's just in the metaverse. What do you say to this in under a minute?
Yeah, I mean, there are these traditional watch collectors that in many cases have millions and millions of dollars in watches of things that they've sought out from all around the world over, you know, their entire lifetime, and they've chased these very rare examples. They're certainly going to want to go ahead and bring those with them. There's definitely going to be this, you know, this group of people that are entering the metaverse that want to have a digital watch so that they can look cool in their avatar, and I think that's going to be another interesting approach as well. I think it's going to be a matter of finding like what is the actual value, how much are people going to be willing to pay for these things. You know, at the very least, how we plan on issuing these NFTs is if we can tie that to the actual asset that we've sold you, that'll be your ticket into the metaverse. You can bring it with you because it is something that you physically own.
Absolutely. And that's all. It's all about interoperability, not just in games, but in the metaverse, and being able to, you know, make sure that what's mine is mine, and you control your data and ownership of that data and IP forevermore. And that is what we are talking about today: data sovereignty. And also this ties into the need to disrupt technocracy, but that's a different segment. Tim, we're out of time. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting. It was an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much, guys.
That was Tim Bender, CEO and founder of Fog City Vintage. Check them out on the gram at Fog City Vintage, or head to their website at fogcityvintage.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CCP Digital, bringing you a view from inside blockchain, cryptocurrency, and NFTs. Introducing the latest Blockchain Heroes series, Retro Rebellion NFT collectible card packs from the Nifty Company. Available January 2022. Find out more online at ccpdigital.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Now, welcoming back to our scandals segment, we have returning contributor Imran Ansari, partner at ABK Law right here in the city. He's also on Court TV and a legal analyst. And today we are chatting about what happens next for fake heiress Anna Sorokin. Now, her deportation failed at the last minute when she refused to leave the immigration detention center to be taken to the airport on March 14th. And she's still, in fact, in the Goshen, New York Correctional Facility. Now, Anna's lawyers claim motion to stay the deportation was filed, so Anna won't be leaving for Germany until a ruling is made. Now, Anna falsely claimed to be a German heiress named Anna Delvey, so it's a different last name, who had a $60 million inheritance and was raising funds to launch a Manhattan social club. She swindled hundreds of thousands of dollars from friends, banks, and New York City luxury hotels to float her lavish lifestyle. She's now the subject of the Netflix series Inventing Anna, and she has served about 4 years in prison after she was found guilty of attempting and swindling these banks and hotels of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, will the deportation hold? Will she stay? Is she better off to face these charges in Germany? Does the time fit the crime? What kind of additional time is she looking at? Imran, fill us in.
Yeah, Zen. So she did serve a significant sentence for the crimes that she was ultimately was convicted for, and upwards of 4 years. And then after she was released from prison last year, February 2021, shortly thereafter, the immigration ICE picked her up, put her in a detention center, and she's facing deportation. So there's been a lot of activity in the last month or so for ICE ramping up, getting ready to send her back to Germany, and her attorneys are filing a motion to stay that. She also joined onto a class action lawsuit, put forth by the ACLU, claiming that she wanted a COVID-19 booster shot and she wasn't afforded one in the immigration detention centers. So she's part of that lawsuit, but she most likely will be deported to Germany sometime soon. They don't necessarily keep deportable non-citizens in immigration custody too long unless their attorneys keep staying the deportation. But because she was convicted of that crime, because she is not a citizen and overstayed her visa, which is why she was picked up by ICE, she is going to be deported at some time. But what an incredible story.
But let me ask you, I'm really confused because she was released on parole more than a year ago, and then 6 weeks later, she was taken into custody for overstaying that visa. But why was she released on parole?
So two different entities, two different systems. In fact, there was one point in our judicial system in the courts where ICE was working with the Department of Corrections, and one a defendant could be a defendant in a criminal custody and then be given over to ICE. But that changed. There were reforms which sort of separated the two. And now, you get released after being convicted on a deportable offense, and you're a non-citizen. You can expect that immigration is going to be coming and taking you into custody also for deportation proceedings. So I'm not surprised. What's that?
This is craziness.
It is, but it is routine. But what's craziness is that Anna Sorokin, aka Anna Delvey, is experiencing tremendous amount of fame right now because of that famous Netflix series. And you see these swindlers, these sort of con artists getting famous now. You have the Tindler swindler.
It's craziness.
Netflix, and we have a whole segment we could do on that, Zen.
100%.
Anna Sorokin, and they're getting tremendous fame, but these people were swindlers. They got convicted of crimes.
And it's funny because Sorokin's ascent into New York City's wealthy social scene and her crimes were popularized by that profile in The Cut in 2018, right? So The Cut really propelled her into stardom, which then inspired the Netflix series. And then Netflix, we hear, paid her $320,000, and she served as a consultant for the Sonda Rhimes produced show. It's like the height of a crime is now glorified, and now you have become a celebrity, like you said, out of control.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating, and again, the intersection of justice and entertainment here. But we probably will see the next chapter of Anna Sorokin, aka Anna Delvey, and her return to Germany, where we know now there is no fortune or inheritance waiting for her. But what a fascinating story. And you really see, we're going to be following it and seeing how immigration pans out. But I have a feeling sooner rather than later, she's going to be sent back to Germany.
To Germany, yes. I couldn't agree more. And maybe that's where she belongs. She did tell, and New York Times reported, that she's not so brazen and shameless, as she put it, as the show portrayed her to be. And I find it very interesting that she's still living almost a lie. She in her mind, she's done nothing wrong when you hear her speak. But hey, listen, this is New York City intersecting with the law in Hollywood. Like you said, Murphy's Law.
Absolutely, Zen. And it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out and what the next chapter will be for Anna Delvey, also known as her real name, Anna Sorokin.
Anna Sorokin.
Yep. Fascinating stuff.
Fascinating. Well, we're out of time. Imran, thank you so much for piping in. Guys, you definitely have to check out Imran Ansari. He's everywhere. Court TV. He's a legal analyst. He's a partner at ABK Law, #1 trial attorney in the city. Definitely check him out. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Tempus, the next generation of the engagement economy, allowing people to make money on their data and earn cryptocurrency for the time they spend on things they already currently love to do. With Tempus, brands will have the ability to pay you directly for interacting with apps, watching videos, playing games, and more. Tempus, the time is now. Engage and earn.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or go to 710WOR.iheart.com/A Moment of Zen. Remember that we're now on TV. Download the KP Media TV app on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, or Android TV. Or you can always tune in at watch.kpmedia.tv and catch A Moment of Zen on the Impact Live channel Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. All episodes of A Moment of Zen are now available on demand. Thank you for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors. And remember, happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.